In modern fitness culture, temporary aesthetic beauty often comes at the expense of the body, soul, and true long-term vitality. At Mount Athos Performance, we believe in more than just looking good. We're on a mission to fuel a holistic lifestyle of health, a lifestyle that prepares you for every moment, from work to recreation. Built on purity, sustainability, and the pursuit of excellence, our products support functional fitness for everyday resilience and longevity. Welcome to Mount Athos Performance.
There's a growing movement in the American workplace, one that's not dominated by a political party or ideology, but by real Americans who oppose the divisive rules and cancel culture mandates that have invaded many of the nation's largest companies. This is a movement of hometown America, people who want to build their careers, raise their families, and live their faith in the spirit and legacy of the American dream. At Red Balloon, we're connecting no-nonsense employers with hardworking employees, people who are passionate about bringing accomplishment and success to their workplace. If you're an employer looking for serious talent, you need to post your job on Red Balloon. And if you're an employee who's tired of a cancel culture workplace, then come to Red Balloon and find your future. Because you should be free to grow your career, and you shouldn't have to choose between your job and your values.
Here we go.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Water Break on the Five Live Feast Network. It's good to be with you. It's always good to be with my wife. This is especially in a busy week.
Yeah, which is every week.
So the weeks, do you not have a busy week? No, we don't.
Nope.
I actually got a couple things here I want to talk about. So the title is roughly accurate.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about
we might lose a few
getting
people
married and then getting fat after you get married.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's a real truth.
It's a thing.
Yep. I mean, it's almost church discipline level kind of problem.
Yeah. Call the elders. Like,
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just because he gained some pounds. We actually just started this little Moscow sourdough bread subscription.
Yes, we did.
What's the name of the company again? Moscow sourdough?
Moscow sourdough. Yeah. That's what their name.
So we actually literally just got our bread today, and
look at it. Look how beautiful it looks.
Kind of fun. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Again, if your diet conflicts with what Jesus ate, then you got some problems.
Yeah. Granted, this is mostly going to be eaten by our children who will not stop eating.
I don't eat very much bread anymore these days.
You really can't afford
sad.
to.
It's sad.
Yeah, but shout out to them. They have an Instagram account and their website for ordering bread or setting up a subscription so you can get it weekly or bi-week, monthly or whatever. Yeah. Really smooth, really easy. So
cool.
Yeah,
we're excited to dig into that.
Very excited. Yeah.
I'm excited that our conference T-shirts to our Fight Laugh Feast Conference Prodigal America.
Ew.
You can hear the crinkle in your podcast if you're just listening. Is out, and I'm super excited about this. It's in Texas, so we're using kind of the burnt orange Texas kind of theme there. So you got Prodigal America, and of course this is our show's logo. We're actually using for the conference logo this year. Prodigal America Fight Laugh Feast Conference Fort Worth 2024. Pretty fun.
Longhorns.
I've already had some people say, please don't make me wear a Longhorn shirt. So we actually have another color. We're going to be rolling these out.
I'm one of those people. That's not a good color on me. I don't care.
I'm buying this. I'm buying this for you.
Oh my gosh.
It's awesome. So Prodigal America.
Don't want to wear that.
Texas Longhorns burnt orange right now. That's pretty awesome.
Burnt orange.
Secondly, there's another.
I like that color.
Crinkle. Yeah, I like this color too.
Nice
It's really nice. Really nice color. The Moscow Mood T-shirt. So our good friend, I at this point, I think I can call him a good friend. Kevin DeYoung coined this phrase for us, Moscow Mood here. He coined it, maybe not as a favorable phrase, but
I don't think
we just owned it,
compliment, but you can just go with it,
Yeah, we decided to roll with it. So the Moscow Mood T-shirts are a lot of fun because you got the famous picture of the troops holding up the American flag, but we got the Christian flag being held up, famous picture. And the very bottom it says, make reformational living great again.
I like it.
Like it. Nice color, a lot of fun. Get your Moscow Mood t-shirts. You can go to RenchMedia.com for both those t-shirts and more. Those just came out. We literally just got them shipped today for us to put them on here in house in the studio. Yeah. So the topic of the show, I'll have you know. So probably a lot of people maybe think that I came up with the title.
I doubt they think that.
Oh. All the women out there did 100%.
I 100% came up with this idea.
My wife
and I've been talking about this phenomenon for years.
Get married.
Like, what happens to
get
people?
Fat. Let's talk about it.
Exactly.
So before we get to some qualifiers,
we do need to qualify this.
There is kind of a phenomena where
not kind of, it's like
it's real
90% of the time.
Now, when we first got married the first year, so I was 185 pounds. Like that was when I got out of the shower, dripping wet, like so
really thin.
I was a skinny boy.
Yeah, that's true.
And the first year of marriage, I gained 30 pounds.
Yeah, gained a lot.
I gained a lot, and a lot of it is I started eating 3 meals a day with my wife. She actually did a good job taking care of the house and actually keeping food in the fridge for us. So I went from 185 to 215, and now I'm about 222 now. So I got as high as 235, but that was pretty deep into our marriage where I started kind of getting up to those weight levels.
That's when we were like, okay.
Yeah. And now that's actually not bad. I mean, it's still a lot. I mean, 185 to eventually I got the highest I was at was about 235.
Yeah. What? Well, I mean, are you trying to grade how bad it? Like, I mean,
yeah. I want to.
You were.
Jacob Dino. Jacob's already. Yeah, you need to qualify.
It's not November. We'll qualify
Fair
little,
enough.
But
Fair enough, Jacob.
Don't feel safe. Don't feel safe.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you needed to gain some of it,
right?
And then probably you gained extra. But I mean, that's part of what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
Why is this so common? And it's really, really common. And I think we want to be the kind of show that shares health truths and exercise tips and all those things. But we also want to be the kind of show that talks about the things that no one else will talk about, because that's just the kind of people we are. So,
it's a real, this is if we can help avoid some of the catastrophic situations, where you get married and then you gain a lot of weight, for all sorts of reasons. I mean, you get busy in marriage. I think you mentioned like, a guy used to be able to work out significantly before marriage.
Yeah. I mean, I think and we can get to it. I think there's a couple different categories of people, and that that would maybe explain how that either really rapid weight gain or just slow, insidious weight gain. You kind of see both happens after marriage. Yeah, for sure.
So we know that it was a real phenomenon.
There is, and everybody knows.
Is it phenomena or phenomenon?
A phenomenon.
A phenomena.
Phenomena. I don't actually know.
That's a good one. Anybody got any suggestions in the chat group? You can help us with that.
A phenomenon or a phenomenon?
So it really does happen. And then,
it does. It's very common.
Especially like 15, 20 years down the road. Well, now you really have some difficulty in trying to, change your food habits, family habits, with family culture sets in around this. The kids set in around that kind of family culture, stuff like that. It gets real hard.
Yes.
So on to the qualifications.
Yeah, let's definitely qualify this. I think we need to, because we are going to shoot straight, and we want to be the kind of show and people that shoot straight, you guys. So if your feelings are hurt by the straight shooting, I mean, are we sorry?
I mean, sorry, not sorry. It's
probably not sorry. Yeah. You're not probably talking to
sorry, not
people.
sorry.
However, I want to be sensitive to this topic, because people can gain a lot of weight at any point in their life, post-marriage, post-baby, sometimes for a lot of different reasons. So I just want to be very clear that, and I think it will be clear as we talk it out. Also, we're gonna be pretty particular about the way we say things, but I just want to be very clear that what we are not talking about here, like the problem of mega weight gain after getting married. We're not talking about situations where someone goes through some major trauma. Sometimes there's clearly somebody, I feel like it's often women, it probably could be men, but I see this in women a lot more, where some sort of hormonal condition or something hits them out of the blue. They're not changing anything. They're not doing anything. And their body wigs out. Body just wigs out. And you do see that. Okay. And like, you can see it with like undiagnosed Hashimoto's. You can see it with Cushing's, out of control cortisol production. I mean, there are things out there, and we are most definitely not talking to you guys. And my biggest message to you guys is dig for a solution, because it's not usually an issue of you just letting yourself go. There's clearly something going on with your body, and you want to find a solution. And we'll talk about that a little bit.
So we're not talking about that.
And we're also not talking about like if you get pregnant, yes, you're going to gain weight. Like we're not,
and you should.
You have to. Like we're not talking about that either. And we're also, I think I should say, not making the claim or suggesting that your body should look the same at 45 as it did when you were 18. That's also dumb. And a lot of people fall into that ditch also, just being obsessed with their physique, obsessed with how they look, terrified of age, and unwilling to accept just what happens to our bodies naturally as they age. And a certain amount of wear and tear, a certain amount of, mitochondrial breakdown, our skin doesn't hold up as well. There's just things everybody ages, and we know that. So I think is that pretty good?
I mean, we've qualified enough.
I think we qualified
I get bored of qualifications real quick.
Gabe is not really principally a believer in qualifying anything. And if you were to live with him,
like I said what I said,
you would be very aware of
and
this.
then if you think I'm talking about you, the person who, let's say, medically had a medical issue and got fat, I'm like, I'm not talking about you.
That's the
very
thing.
simple.
No, that's the thing. Is that one of the biggest skills?
Hey, Rodney, good evening.
Of receiving, a message or listening to a podcast is understanding if someone is actually talking to you.
Yeah.
And ladies, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not good at that. Okay. It's usually the people that we're not talking to who are like, oh my gosh. And then the people who we really are talking to, they're like, whatevs.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay. I think we qualified.
Forward it to them.
I think we qualified pretty well.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we did. I feel really good about it.
Okay. So what happens, two people get married, and there's kind of basically, as you grouped it, there's two different groups of people. When they get married, they tend to gain weight, or one of them, maybe the spouse, the husband, or the wife gains, the other one might remain the same.
Totally.
What are those buckets?
Okay. Yeah. So, and again, there's exceptions to everything. And you guys know this. Like I've seen people get married and then actually go through a whole health transformation at some point. I've seen women, it actually taking them, not even getting married, but getting pregnant and being like, I am supporting another human life. I got to get my act together. And
I got to start eating healthy.
Completely cleaning their life up. And I mean, good on all of those scenarios. So I know there are exceptions to this, but we all know it is very, very common for people, men and women alike. And I would say that I see this more with men even than I do women, but I see it in both.
Yeah.
I see it with both, where you get married and then the weight gain just slowly starts creeping on. Sometimes it's rapid, and you see them a year later and you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
And then other times it's just this insidious 5 pounds a year.
And for me, that was the case for me.
You had a rapid year, and again, you went in kind of underweight, so you're maybe
I was malnourished.
You were really. He was
when I
so
got married.
thin. Yeah, he was so thin. But so there's different ways. Yeah, and sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's just the husband. Yeah. And sometimes it's just the wife. So we can kind of speak to all those situations. But basically, what I've seen is from like a health coach perspective. Or just observing over the years, is that there's kind of two different buckets from what I can tell in terms of the people that are just gaining all this weight post-marriage. There's number one, the people who are just giving up and not trying.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of holding it together while I was trying to find a spouse, because you're highly motivated. You're like, hey, do you think you want to be good looking? You want to attract someone. Yeah.
We all know looks matter when it comes to getting married.
Of course it matters. Yeah, of course it matters. And when you're young and that's like your main goal, then of course you take care of yourself a little bit better. And then, one reason or another, you get too busy, you stop caring. You're like, marriage is forever. You just stop trying, and I'm not going to read motives in. I'm just going to say there are plenty of people who just give up. They just stop trying. They stop taking care of themselves, right? That's one bucket.
What did Pastor Wilson, I was reading an article or listening to a video from him this last week, and he was just saying, this might have been an old article, I can't remember anymore, but he was saying marriage is a permanent job, basically, that you can't get fired from.
Yes.
And so what happens is you get in this situation where you don't need, it's permanent. You're together. You're stuck, and so you can kind of presume on that situation.
Yeah, like this lady right here.
Yeah, look at her.
Now
she's excited.
Exactly. Well,
that's a great meme.
Let me say the other category, and then we can talk about each one. Okay. Yeah. So there are the people who it looks to me, and sometimes when I talk to them, it is very apparent that they're just like, I don't care. I just am not. And maybe they know deep down they probably should, but they're just not doing it. They're just not taking care of their body in any way, right? So there's those people. And then there's this whole other category, and I don't want to leave you guys out because I think there's a lot of you, and these are the people who are really trying to take care of their body in some capacity, but it's not working and you don't know why. And I know there's a lot of you out there, so I don't want you to feel like you're not being seen. And this is sort of, I would put these two kind of hand in hand, the people where once they get married and they basically hit real life, kids, a real job, all the responsibilities, all the stresses, the busyness, the sports.
I mean, you're working from 7 a.m. until 12 at night. Whatever.
I mean, adulthood is in family life, like it's just crazy. And it's a new phase of life for a lot of these people. So because of that, what their old plan for health used to be, whatever it was, it's just not feasible anymore. And so weight creeps up, poor health creeps up on them. Right. And so I want to speak to all of these, these different people. So let's start with the people who just sort of are giving up. They've just given up and they're just not, they stop trying
they get married
to take care of themselves.
And they start kind of giving themselves room. They start,
like, let's just go to McDonald's again. Like, I used
they
to
stop
go to the
working
gym.
out, or they stop.
I don't feel like it. Let's watch a movie instead. And like almost everybody, I mean, there's very few women, I don't know. You can speak to this maybe better than me, but it would probably be rare to sit down with someone and just who's married and been married for a while and just be like, do you not care at all? Like, you just don't care. They'd probably be like, well, I do. Right. But it's kind of like, but I like ice cream more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd also say this is just a human temptation that goes into all sorts of areas of lives. And the temptation is, we've made it. I don't have to work as hard anymore.
Right, just to get complacent. Right.
Get complacent. And that happens in particularly I see this with men and their jobs. Totally. I got to vice president, or I got the CEO, or I got to this place, and then they start chilling a little bit because they can coast on this nice salary now, whatever.
Totally.
And so that temptation bleeds in every part of our lives is, we've gotten to a certain situation where I know I can start coasting a little bit. So the temptation there. So you definitely, like, if there's a spiritual connection to that, there's a spiritual problem there. Then you need to confess it and deal with it. And one of the books that I constantly go back to is really, Nate's book, Death by Living. It's very helpful in this area, where Nate's thesis is basically, and of course he's a really good writer in all this, but his thesis is basically, live your life in such a way that by the time God takes you, you have nothing left to spend in your body. And I think that a category, because Christ called us to die, he called us to live and die into him, and he called us to pick up our cross and follow him. So we're constant. So we need to, and the parable of the talents is really helpful here. The one guy in the parable that got judged by Christ, got rebuked by the master, was the one guy who took his talent and buried it in the backyard and made nothing on it.
Right.
He still kept the talent. He didn't do anything with it. So I think in the same way, we want to live our lives in such a way where everything we're doing is we're not burying that talent in the backyard, and we're spending it to God's glory as best we can. And your body should be lived that way. So that's just kind of a human temptation to get married, or finally I got my spouse.
Back
I can relax.
I'm just gonna
I can chill now.
Exactly. So I guess the question for this group is, number one, as Christians, should we care in some way about our appearance, taking care of our body, wanting to be whatever word you want to use, beautiful, handsome, whatever, attractive to your spouse? That'd probably be the most important thing at that point. Should we care about that? I think a lot of Christians don't, and for probably a myriad of reasons. And secondly, this is something that's bothered me for a long time. And again, I'm just shooting straight here, you guys. Is it fair as Christians, keeping in mind that we believe in monogamy, obviously, you marry one person
for life,
marriages for life, barring, certain things that we think are egregious enough to merit divorce. That's certainly not,
or death,
or death. Right. But we're kind of like, we're in this for the long haul with this one person. Porn is a no. Cheating is a no. And it's like, let's not, you're not supposed to do that. Right. So, is it fair then to entrap a person into marriage and then just sort of let yourself go intentionally, or, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not speaking to the people who are in these special situations where it was like, they really, are kind of a victim of their own situation. I'm not talking to you, but if you're just like, I don't exercise, I don't eat well, I don't take care of myself, I don't care enough to do anything. Is that fair to your spouse.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it is. I think that it's actually really unkind to be like, you can't look at anyone else except for me, and I'm doing nothing. You know what I mean? Now, granted, doing nothing versus what should you do? Can you take this too far? Absolutely. Can you become obsessed? Can you become vain? Can you do some of these things, taking care of your body for the wrong reasons? Absolutely, you can. You know what I mean? But I do see a lot of people, for one reason or another, busyness, having kids, feeling stress eating at night, not sleeping well, all these things. They're legit things. Most people are not just sitting around all day doing absolutely nothing, but you do see the priority of taking care of your body, doing some kind of upkeep, not looking like one of those people who has clearly given up, because we all know what that looks like. You know what I mean? We've just let that fall to the wayside. And I think for that group of people who would fall under this category, and really only you can know if that's you, I mean,
we don't know you.
I'm not going to read motives, into your situation, but I think you should consider doing something, if for no other reason, out of consideration for your spouse.
Yeah.
And I would say,
that's, I mean, you're kind of getting at to, how can you love your neighbor, your husband, or how can you love your most important neighbor? Yeah. Your most important neighbor. How can you love your wife? But I would say, particularly when we start talking about beauty and weight and stuff like that, and this is why we started the shows, like, we want to ground everything in scriptures.
Yeah, it's true. Those are tricky words to even define.
Andy, we talk about definitions of words all the time about, like, I hate the word diet. I want to come up with a different word for that, because it's not communicating what I want to communicate about food, right?
Yeah, or everybody, different definitions for different people.
That kind of thing. So especially when we're getting into this world, the Bible doesn't give us the optimum weight.
No, like BMI of
or
whatever.
You're 5'7" and you should weigh 152 pounds, or weight. It's like the Bible doesn't. The Bible doesn't do that, and for good reason. And so, but I don't want us to get stuck on weight numbers. Now, I do think I do think it's a stewardship issue. I think there's a principled stewardship issue. So, we need to talk about this too and figure it out. But someone who weighs more, someone, let's say, who's 200 pounds and weighs 230 pounds, or someone who's 200 pounds and weighs, someone who's 6 foot and weighs 200 pounds, and someone who's 6 foot and weighs, 225. Well, I want to know the context. I want to know,
totally.
This might be muscle weight or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But if
100%.
you're living in such a way where your weight is putting, stresses on your heart, on your kidneys, or whatever, like, you aren't being a good steward.
Well,
like,
that's true.
That's where I want to kind of maybe get into the definition. Okay, this is what it means to be fat for you. Is that
I get what you're saying.
Push back on that.
That's more of a health claim, and I agree with it. And I think that the majority of the shows that we have done, or are going to continue to do, are going to emphasize that more than anything, because it's in the broader context of health and fitness, that's where I love most of our focus to be, is just like, take care of your body, like make sure it's
healthy,
functional, for longevity, for functionality, for all those things. But I think what we're actually talking about today is actually aesthetic. And I think that's the uncomfortable thing about this conversation. And I think Christians need to have a theology for this, and not either just eat up what the world does, which is absolute vanity, and what surgery can I do so I look more like Kim Kardashian,
or
that's fair. Throw the baby out with the bathwater, like we do so well in so many lanes, and just not care at all. And so what I'm saying is, I think that there's a great biblical argument for us to take care of our bodies in terms of how we actually present ourselves to the world. Now, I agree with you that, weight and what's overweight, what is BMI, we don't really have a good metric for that. But I think that you and I could both agree that usually when you're looking at someone, a man or a woman, they might naturally be very lean. They may naturally be more curvaceous. Maybe the dude's really muscular. Maybe the girl is, maybe she's not. But you can sort of see, especially if it's someone that you've seen over time, like, there's a kind of healthy, I'm taking care of myself look that's possible. And then there's I'm not doing anything. I'm not healthy, and I'm not putting any sort of effort or care into how I present myself to the world. And I would say to your spouse, most importantly. So that's what I'm talking about. I actually think the aesthetic does matter. And I think that's what we're talking about today.
And that's good. And the Bible does address that too. And we all know the verses, charm is deceitful, beauty is vain, a woman who fears the Lord, we all know that the Bible emphasizes beauty within the heart,
more
above
so.
over
More
physical
so
beauty.
than
But
physical.
that doesn't mean the Bible doesn't address it. You know,
Or that it doesn't matter.
Song of Solomon talks about a beautiful woman.
Yes.
What was it? Moses described Rachel and Leah in the scriptures as Rachel was a beautiful woman and Leah was not.
Right.
She was like gaunt in the eyes. I forget the actual words.
That poor girl.
That poor,
with her face.
poor Leah. She was. Her dad didn't give her a good,
She had dad issues. She
absolutely had daddy issues. You know, she ends up in Jacob's bed the first night. You know,
I did the story.
And Jacob woke up. You know, but anyway,
I can't handle that story.
The point is that even this Bible has a description for what's
right. Like, let's not pretend
externally beautiful.
Let's not pretend there are not objective.
Yeah,
there isn't objective beauty, right. And there's probably a lot of different versions of it. Right. Like, there's a lot of things that can be beautiful and different ways to be beautiful. But it is a thing, and I think we should care. In our own way.
Yeah.
And I think wanting to remain attractive to your spouse should be on our radar.
Yeah.
I think it should matter. And you know, as long as we're being realistic, I just want to say, Mitchell says the scale lies when working out. That's true. I think it depends. If you're 400 pounds, you know, and like 5'8",
and you could deadlift 1,500 pounds.
No, I think if you're 400 pounds, you probably do. The scale might be a decent metric for you because you're just grossly overweight for your frame. But I think that probably.
But he's talking specifically about working out.
His point. Well, sure. So if you're building muscle, the scale. I think the fitter someone is and the more muscle they build, the less the scale is a good indicator of health. And the scale can become. I do have a lot of women. I was actually just working with a girl doing a consult with her yesterday. And I literally told her to get rid of her scale because
stop looking at it.
It's just like, stop looking at it, you know, focus on how you feel, what your numbers in the gym are, how your jeans fit.
That's great advice, baby.
Well, I mean, it can do more harm than good. So I think that was probably your point, Mitchell. And I totally agree with you. But so all that to say, I want to move on to the second group. I think, I do think it matters the way we take care of ourselves, the way we decide, the efforts that we put forth in order to, you know, demonstrate to the world that we have not totally given up. And we do, you know, enjoy being feminine, enjoy being beautiful, enjoy being masculine, enjoy, again, just
and
taking care of yourself. And especially for your spouse, I think that is a considerate thing to do.
And we've said this multiple times, and this maybe should part of be the theme of our show. It's like, as you think through these things, you want to be, you know, grace driven, not guilt driven. Like, there's nothing more, talk about tangling everything up in such a way where it's just not helpful for your marriage. If you're so guilty about you know, what you weigh and about your appearance to your husband, you need to get rid of that guilt. I'm not saying you still need to maybe, you know, want to love your neighbor, want to love your husband in a way, and you want your body to be attractive to him.
Yeah.
But if you got guilt all bound up in this, you get rid of that before you even start down.
You don't
some
want
sort
to
of
do anything
journey
based off of guilt, really. And this will, you know, if you guys are in this category, this will require you to have some honest conversations with your spouse, you know, which
that you should be allowed to have.
You need to be allowed to have.
You need to shape your
ways.
marriage in such a way where we've said this multiple times in our own house. We want to be able to address any topic, anytime with each other, and be allowed to do that. Now that doesn't mean we might not pick up a topic because we need to pray about it or we need to give it a little space to talk about it, whatever. But you principally in your marriage, you need to have a healthy marriage in such a way where you can talk about any issue at any time. You need, in your marriage, and this should be included. And so some couples probably have some work to do there, some insecurities and some just like some communication barriers that need to come down because it does matter, and we need to be able to talk about it really quick. Preston says another huge aspect to this is that your kids are seeing you do it. I assume you're referring to like taking care of yourself. I could not agree more. I mean, this is true for nutrition. This is true for your faith. You know, just living out the gospel. Your kids are always watching, and we are so impactful as parents, especially when they're young. Just setting the tone for what is normal and good and right in the way that we live. So I couldn't agree with you more. Okay, Jane, you said stress makes you fat. Yes, it does. And we're about to get to that. So very good point. And this can take a toll on you as a wife. Huge, Jane. And we've actually, I don't know if you're brand new to this show or not, but we've talked about stress quite a bit in some of our previous shows, but I'm going to get to that stress piece here in a second. Okay. So do you feel good about that group of people, the people who have given up, the people who need to care more? Gabe? Yeah, I was just checking out some other things on our other channels just to make sure we weren't missing anything. Well, I'll keep going. If you find another good question or something, we can get to it. Okay. I did have one comment. Let's see. We were talking about making sure your marriage is is healthy in the cases where you can talk about anything anytime.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, whether we're talking about health or whatever.
Anything really, but this is a touching one.
But I would say, it's a touchy one.
And I think it's touchier for women than men.
Yeah.
Because there's been times in our marriage where I've been like, okay, Gabe.
Yeah. No, you came to me. You came to me and said, hey, you need to lose a little weight.
You need to. I'm like, you're tall and you're athletic, so you get away with a lot. And he does. But that belly, it needs to go down. And you know what? He was like, okay. And he made some serious changes, which I really appreciated. It's a harder thing for a dude to say that to his wife.
To come to his wife and be like, hey, I got you a gift certificate to our local gym.
I have a story. No.
I got a great Christmas present. Oh, this Annie. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
I work at a local gym, and I had for years, and I used to be the head trainer. And men throughout the years have come in or called in on several occasions and been like, it's my wife's birthday or it's her anniversary, some sort of celebration. And they'd be like, I want to buy personal training sessions for my wife. And
do not bundle that with an anniversary present.
My response to him, this guy was always, did your wife specifically ask for that?
Yeah.
If not, do not do this. This is
That's like a Wednesday gift.
And they always
like a generic Wednesday
or
gift.
like maybe it's just you need to talk about it together. It's not like a fun surprise. You need to talk about it, because I was like, dude, this is a one-way ticket to a divorce. I'm saving you. You can thank me later. Do not gift her the gift of fitness for her birthday. But anyways, you do, guys, you need to approach this carefully and respectfully. And I will just say right here, this is to Jane's point that she made, that stress takes a huge toll on women's bodies. It does. It takes a toll on men's bodies too, but as we've discussed many times, to exhaustion, really, women are more sensitive to stress, and it really can make you fat, like it sometimes to a crazy degree. And also women, I'm not to pull the baby card, but I'm gonna, we're the ones who carry
babies.
We're the ones who carry all the children. Okay. So if anyone has an excuse for, to have gained some weight or for your body to be a little more run down as the years go on, I think it's the ladies.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'm going to throw that out there. But anyways, you good to move on to the second category?
That's good.
So we already talked about the first group, the people who just sort of have given up, like this lady here, these people.
Well, she's about to. She hasn't given up yet.
She's like already made the plan. She's like, and
mentally
now
she has.
I'm done. Yeah. I hope you're stuck with me. Okay. So this second crowd, and like I said, I think there's a lot of you. These are the people who really are trying. You haven't given up. You're trying. But it's whatever you're doing is not working for you, and you don't really know why. You don't know what's going on, or you just don't have a plan because your old plan is not going to work in real life. Okay, so I want to say again to Jane's point about stress. We did a episode on reverse dieting a little while ago. And if any of you all listening, especially ladies, are hearing what I'm saying right now, and you're like, listen, I am 30 pounds heavier now than I was in my 20s. I have changed absolutely nothing, except for maybe you're even eating less. Yeah. And maybe even exercising more, which often is the case with people like you. And I know you're out there, and I know your doctors, and this is just drives me crazy, either tell you you're lying, when you're like overweight or weight loss resistant, and you're telling them like, I am barely eating anything. I'm doing HIIT class every day. I'm spinning 5 times a week. And they're like,
I'm eating 1,200 calories a day.
Yeah. They're like, well, you're wrong. You're lying, or you're not counting your calories accurately. Or they just say, hey, just eat less, run more. Just eat less, run more. That's the answer to every person's weight loss problem. I know you are out there, and my best advice is, that probably what is hindering you is years of dieting and under eating one way or another. Yeah. And remember, dieting can be anything. It can be macro counting. It can just be only eating grapefruits. It can be the Jenny Craig diet. It can be keto. It can be fasting. Too much of under eating under any name over a long span of time will drive that metabolic rate down. So there are a lot of you. So I really recommend, and then I will say, if you add on top of that, the stress of real life. I mean, you're not that stressed as an 18 to 25-year-old. I mean, maybe if you're like in med school, I don't know. I want to be fair to all demographics, but like nothing really comes close to like having 4 kids and a husband and a job on the side and PTA and, Bible study stuff and like all these other things, and having this, the worldwide syndrome that all women have, which is the inability to say no. Poor sleep due to hormones. There's no, that it's so stressful, whether we categorize it that way or not. And that combination, that and just chronically under eating will shut your metabolism right down. So if that's you, Reach out to me on Instagram if you want to talk more. It's a horrible place to be.
RenchMedia@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah, RenchMedia@gmail.com too.
Or if you just want to hear more, find our episode. I think we said it's got reverse diet in the title. It's like why you probably need a reverse diet, something like that. It wasn't that long ago, and it walks you through all of that.
I should see if I could drop that.
I know that it's a real thing, and I do work with you women in that situation all the time. Could be true of men, but I see it playing out way more with women. Another thing you might want to consider if what you really are trying, you're doing some strategy, exercise, diet, whatever it is, and it's not working anymore. You might want to consider that actually what you used to do that was working for you, and I'm putting some air quotes around it, it actually wasn't really working for you. You were just getting away with it. Does that make sense? And over time, you doing that same thing, like eating really low fat, or I don't know, doing tons and tons of super high intensity stuff, the ramifications of that is actually catching up to you. So my point in that situation would be maybe what you're doing is actually not that good for your body at all. And you associated it in the past with it working, but really you were just thriving despite it, not because of it. All right. And we all need to have an open mind, and also keep in mind that a lot of things attenuate over time. Exercise strategies, diet strategies, drugs, pretty much everything. Usually in the beginning, it works great. And then over time it attenuates. And then oftentimes you even see some negatives happen on the other side of that bell curve. So keep that in mind as well. That could be you. Do you have anything you want to add here?
No. I'm actually dropping our show Reverse Dieting in the
that's great.
Comments. So.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. We got a lot of feedback about it. Okay. And then there's this other group of people, and I see a lot of these also, where their old plan to stay fit, like what they did when they were single or in college or even early married without kids, you get married at 22 and you're both like, let's go to the gym together. You don't really have, you don't have kids, you don't have, nothing bad's happened to you yet. Your strategy to stay fit at that point in life is just not feasible anymore. Okay. And I see this a lot with like ex-athletes, college level athletes, high school level athletes, people who would just basically eat trash, but would play 2 to 3 open gym basketball games a night. Like you're a good example of this, actually. And that might've been one of the things that fed in when you actually got a real job and a family. And
I couldn't play basketball anymore.
Like, I can't go play 3 hours a night. That's not going to work for me. So you had to kind of be like, I got to adjust how I eat. I got to make some adjustments because I'm not getting away with it. I talk to women all the time about this. And again, if you go back to some past episodes, we talk about this all the time because I'm so big on strength training and muscle build for, all these different reasons. But the women, those of you women who are out there, either if this is you right now, if you're young and you're doing this right now, or if you're older and this used to be you, who, your solution to staying fit and trim is to go to spin class every day or run 6 miles a day. Also not a good strategy. Not a good strategy.
While keeping similar eating habits that you did when you were 18 or whatever.
And a lot of times that comes with major hunger, poor eating decisions. But again, you're young and you just run 5 miles the next day. So you get away with it to some degree. That's what I used to do. But at some point, you guys, life happens, right? You have twins or you have 3 kids, you get married, you have a job, you have family issues. Maybe you go through a divorce, you get injured. That happens. That happens more and more as we get older. If something comes up, your kid gets sick, if something comes up where you can't run 5 miles every day, what are you going to do? And I think some people fall into that category. It's like your strategies have been bad. And my suggestion to you guys is that you need to clean up your diet. And again, it kind of depends on what that would look like for you, depends on where you're coming from. If you're just eating absolute trash, you need to probably start moving towards eating a lot cleaner, real whole
nutritional dense food.
No, you're almost there. Nutritionally
dense food.
Gabe really likes that word.
I like that word.
He's almost
makes
almost
a lot
there.
of sense to me.
Yes. If you have been conversely ketoing for 5 years straight, that might mean stopping that and bringing some good carbs back into your life. Like, so what changes you need to make depends on where you're at currently, but you need to adjust your diet because it is not feasible for most people at the age of 40 to spin for 2 hours every day to prop up, poor sleep, high stress, and a crappy diet. It's just not a good idea. And so some of y'all, you're paying the piper for that. And please just remember, as we're getting older, we're having kids, we're married, busyness of life is hitting us. The best thing you can do for your metabolism on the exercise side of things is build muscle. I mean, it really is to build muscle so that you have a reservoir, right? You have you're more insulin sensitive. You have a higher metabolic rate. That's what you want to do.
Right.
And also we can't, at this phase of life, we can't have this all or nothing mindset, which a lot of people, especially these ex-athletes or ex-runners or ex-whatever, if I don't have 6 miles to run, I can't run at all.
Right.
Not true. If I don't have an hour to go to a gym, there's no point in working out at all. Not true. That kind of thinking actually gets us into a lot of trouble. Gabe is a great example right now. He's doing trigger sessions at his house. He'll just stop and do 20 squats. He'll just stop and do 50 push-ups. He'll just stop and do how many pull-ups?
Oh, like 3.5.
3.5 pull-ups.
I hate pull-ups.
We're still working on the pull-ups.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it looks like for him because he just does not have the time to make it to the gym every single day. But it's better to do something than it is to have that all or nothing mindset and do nothing. Okay. So I just want you guys to remember that.
Yeah.
And again, message us if you want more information or, want to talk about that more because it's a real thing. Like we do need to have solutions for ourselves when we're where we just don't have a lot of time. Stress is high, busyness is high. So
and now I'm even waking up with Cash now. My son's 10.
Oh,
so we're kind of working out a little bit together. And it's like 20 minutes on
3 mornings a week.
3 mornings a week.
And you're doing it with Cash.
And my son Cash. And we run and then we do some push-ups. We run and we do some sit-ups. We run and actually we run and we do push-ups, sit-ups, squats, air squats. And then we run, do some push-ups, sit-ups, air squats.
It's so good.
And it's been great. Good. And I got no oxygen. I got no lungs. So he's like whooping me on the run right now.
He's not slow. I ran a mile with him yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, he's
I was like,
strong.
I had to hurt a little to beat him.
He's strong.
Hard. Yeah.
So
I love that you guys are doing it together.
And that's always been part of my problem too. As a father, like being at work all day away from my family and then like going to the gym. For another hour or whatever
away from your kid. I know.
And there was just no way I was going to do that. And
at least not right now. It doesn't make sense for you right now.
And exactly. And now that my especially my son is older and it's great time to spend time with him and build some manliness in him and some
I love it. I think it's so great.
Aggression in him. I definitely he's a great kid and works hard. There's no laziness in him, but I would, I'd like to see him work harder on the football field or be more aggressive on the football field. So I feel like this is another way I can come alongside him and help him do that.
Yeah, rather than being that dad on the sideline who just bags on their kid. It's like, get out there and do some squats with them. Okay.
That's right.
So I wanted, that was kind of the main 2 categories, but we have kind of a couple random thoughts.
Let's go through it, baby.
Okay. Just to end with, and I really wanted to get to these because this first one, drives me insane. And I hope every single person listening takes this to heart. It might be you, it may not be, but this is a really big deal. Don't be cheap about your health. Okay. I'm talking to husbands. I'm talking to wives. I'm talking to you guys about your kids. I'm talking to all of y'all. To some degree, being healthy, maintaining your fitness, whatever, is almost free. I mean, you can hike. You can just not eat crap. You can go to bed on time. There's a lot. You can get sunlight.
You can not eat McDonald's.
You can drink more water. Yeah, you can just not drive.
Although it's been a while since McDonald's and fries, and sounded good right now.
It might not taste as good to you. It might not taste as good to you.
Well,
but
I'm going on a road trip next week. So
yeah. Gabe Wrench does what Gabe Wrench wants. All right. So in some ways, it's free, right? And that's awesome. And that gives everybody agency, even if money truly is tight, or you're just like, I just don't have the means to do much.
Certainly.
But on the other hand, so many people, and I keep using women, but that's just because women are the majority of who I work
with. Yep.
So many things that they know they should be doing or would like to be doing. They give the reason of cost for why they're not doing it. Like, I would love to get a gym membership. I know I need one because I am not motivated at home. I'm too distracted at home. I don't have the right equipment. It's just not going to happen. I need to go to a gym to get my workouts done, which is true for a lot of women. Honestly, a lot of people,
they can't work out at home because it'll never get done.
It's really hard. It's really hard. If you can do it, I'm very impressed with you. And some people, they have to, and they make themselves do it because that's the season of life they're in. But a lot of people, a lot of moms with lots of little kids benefit greatly from a gym membership. And they're just like, well, it's just not in the budget. And I'm like, it's like what, $40? And okay, listen, I don't know if it's her just telling herself that. I don't know if it's the husband being the stingy one, or I don't know if the husband and her are just not communicating. And if the husband knew that she really wanted a gym membership, he'd be like, honey, of course we can do this for you. We need to, I totally support you working on your health. And it's so important during these years. And I will say, it is. And I was just talking to my ladies strength training class, the live class that I do today. So many of those girls in there are killing it, and they're coming in every Thursday, and they all have all these little kids. They're in the little years.
Yeah.
And I was telling them, I'm like, this is the hardest time to make yourself exercise, to make yourself strength train, but it's probably the most important.
Okay.
It's just to hold your body together,
Yeah.
get it back in
during
shape.
during baby making years,
or even in between pregnancies, right after maybe you're done having kids. Okay. There is just so much work to do. Just for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
It's a hard time to get in. So okay, all that to say, this needs to be prioritized. And I mean, I do understand that there are some people out there who are legit financially strapped, or maybe in just a weird situation, something happened and they really can't spend extra money on anything.
Right.
But a lot of times I think that it's probably just a priorities game.
Right.
And I really would love to see a shift in the way people think about this kind of thing. You know, it might be a gym membership, which again, we're not talking about buying a Ferrari here. It's usually pretty affordable, you know, maybe working with a personal trainer or doing some sort of program online so that you can get instruction, because a lot of women and men won't strength train because they don't know how. And I don't actually blame you for that, because you can hurt yourself, right? There's a decent amount of a steep learning curve there, and some really good solid instruction, at least at the start, is very, very valuable. Yes, you usually need to pay for it, and it's worth it. And I really, I want to see wives really encouraging their husband, like, hey, I completely support you. Get up, go on the run, get to the gym, do 30 minutes, do some stuff, whatever it takes, just like encourage him. And I think even more so on the reverse, women seem to need a ginormous push out the door. And again, you got to be careful how you do it, because like, you don't want to be like, you're fat, get to the gym. That's not what I mean, but I just mean, honey, I got it. I will pay for a babysitter. I will call my mom. She will come help watch the kids. I will work from home and watch the kids, or I will pay for the childcare at the gym. Like, I support you. Go, 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 go. A lot of women need that. And they need to be told not to worry about the money. And again, this is true about buying equipment at home, about investing in a gym membership, working with a personal trainer, doing something online. Possibly another two that are really big is possibly getting some good nutritional counsel, because there is a lot of bad advice out there. There's a lot of conflicting information, and a lot of people are really, really lost, and they have no idea where to start. And women in particular are responsible for their own body and their own nutrition, but also normally the nutrition of their entire family. I mean, they're the ones shopping, cooking, prepping all the food. So investing in her, knowledge, confidence, her ability to do that is well worth it. And I just wish I heard, we just can't, it's just not in the budget. I wish I heard that less, because of how important this is, it's so important.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you maybe reprioritize a little bit of your budget now, or reprioritize a little bit of your time now learning about this stuff or whatever, or you're going to spend, let's say, more on medical bills and medicine. That's another later, reason to do it now.
It's
and not everybody, let's say, who there's people who can get away with kind of just not eating well for a long time, and it never. I mean, you always hear about that person who smoked cigars and drank Dr. Pepper until he's 102.
Those are rare. Though. That's why you hear about them.
But usually, my family, we got diabetes in our family. Usually, you could potentially avoid like statin medication or blood pressure medication. A lot. So
yes, which it's not just a greater expense financially, but no one wants that.
Right. No, you don't want to be on that medication.
Yeah. And I said that maybe in like the first podcast we did, where, a lot of people like to not care about their health for a long time, but I always hear from them eventually when the doctor's like, you have diabetes, or, the surgeon is threatening knee surgery or whatever. So it's like, take care of things now, take care of your bodies now. Do the maintenance, spend the money. And I do want to say one more thing about doctors, because a lot of, and this would probably circle us back around to some of those types of women women in the situations that we qualified for at the very start. Like, maybe you get married and just your body freaks out at certain, something clearly is off. Maybe it's thyroid, maybe it's cortisol, maybe it's progesterone, like who knows what it is. But please note that that's not normal. There probably is an answer for you out there. And if your doctor tells you, I really don't, you probably are just eating too much, and that that's not the case. Maybe you just need to go on more runs, and you're like, I can't run because everything hurts, or I am running and it's doing nothing, and
I'm already eating 1,000 calories a day.
The money, whatever it takes, find a new doctor, someone who will get to the root cause of what is going on with you, because it is not normal. I just can't, even if they're not in your insurance network, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to go dig. It's exhausting. It's expensive. It's overwhelming, but a lot of people need to go find a doctor, and they need, sometimes it's 5 doctors in, you know, you're searching.
Almost all our doctors were taught by the government.
Yep.
and this current group of doctors that we have serving us, most of them were taught the food pyramid.
Yeah.
Now there's the food circle.
Still talking about it.
Yeah, and they're still talking about it. And the food pyramid's upside down.
There's a food compass now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the food circle, whatever you want to compass.
Even doctors here in town, I have had multiple women I have worked with on the nutritional side of things say that their doctor just told them to eat more oatmeal, as if that's the fix. The fix for all health problems. Just eat more oatmeal. So go search for a doctor who really understands the body as a whole, who understands nutrition better. Most doctors have no idea what they're talking about. And
as regards nutrition, you're saying?
Well, just everything. But nutrition is so...
No, not everything. Doctors, I mean, what do you mean?
Like sorry, everything what did you say? What did you ask me?
You said doctors don't know what they're talking about. And I said, as it relates to nutrition.
With regards to nutrition. They get very little training on it. I don't really blame them, but it's just, but it's so impactful to your health. It's kind of a big deal. So go find a doctor, pay what you have to pay. Get the blood work done. Go, do the private lab, whatever you got to do. Don't, if you're just so unhealthy and hurting and so unhappy and you don't know why, don't just sit in that and just be like, well, I guess this is how it is now. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. So go down that path. I know it is overwhelming and expensive and frustrating, but do it in order to get some answers. Let's see here. I have just a couple more before we wrap up here. Okay.
Let's do it.
And we already touched on this, that you don't need an hour to exercise and you don't need a gym. And I really can't reiterate that enough. I think a gym is best.
I'm doing it in my front yard with my son.
He is. Yeah. And I think if you can get to a gym, or gentlemen, if you can get your wife to a gym regularly, it oftentimes is more realistic for women, because they could, they can kind of manage their own schedule throughout the day, and they can get in there in the middle of the day at some point. Do it, because also women who are at home all day with little kids, it is a awesome breath of fresh air to go just for an hour to a gym with other adults and just like get out of your own house, get out of your own head, talk to other adults, sweat a little, move a little, you get accountability, there's so many reasons to join a gym. So do it if you can, but you don't need one in order to move your body. No. You do not need one in order to move your body. And then this one is fine. I'll probably end on this one. I just want to also remind you guys, if you fall under that category of someone who is trying, it's like, no, I haven't given up. I run 5 miles a day and I have been for 10 years. I'm doing something, but if you are one of those people,
but are you saying I've run for 5 miles a day and I'm now a lot more heavier than I used to be? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think you all, maybe some of you are this person, or at least you know of these people, the people that are like, have been doing the same gym routine, or the same open gym, or the same 5 mile run most days. And they've been doing it for 10 years. And every year they just insidiously gain 5 more pounds. And it's clearly not doing much, right? I mean, it's not getting them to the body that they would like to be in. Just remember that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. At a certain point, and this is true for diet, this is true for any drug, any supplement, anything. If what you're doing isn't working, do something else. Change it. And I know that sounds like baby talk, but actually so many of us adults really need to hear it, because how many of us
dig in.
And we'll just keep doing the same thing. And sometimes if something's not working, like maybe you've been on keto for 2 years and it worked great at the start and now it's starting to not work as well, which is often what happens, that sometimes we won't just keep doing it. We'll keto even harder. You know what I mean? I guess I can't even eat blueberries now. That's the answer. But really, you need a change. You need a change. So, ask yourself if you're that person. But anyways, I think we're good there.
Very good.
Anything else you want to add in? You think we hurt some feelings?
I think our qualifications were just fine.
We are excellent qualifiers.
Well, y'all, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, for all our listeners who joined us throughout the show, we have some amazing. This is our conference T-shirt for Fort Worth. Look at this. Prodigal America. I love the flag and cross.
I just don't.
Texas Longhorns burnt orange. And then if you're into the Moscow mood, what's going on with the Moscow mood, this is a fun shirt too. Make reformational living great again. I love that. If you guys want to be in a conversation with us, you can email us at RenchMedia@gmail.com. I don't think I've ever clarified. You spell wrench without a W. So it's RenchMedia at gmail.com, RenchMedia at gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter, GMWrench. That's where I cause most of my problems. And then Instagram, Annie M. Wrench.
Yeah, Annie M. Wrench. Annie M. Wrench. Should have a website coming out here soon. Yep, I'm almost done. I'm sorry, Rosalind.
And we're going to actually be out the next 2 weeks. So not next week. I'll be gone. I'll be in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And then the following week's 4th of July, and we'll be gone also. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Maybe we'll do a rerun while we're gone on one of the shows that we think you need. Maybe the reverse dining show we can do a rerun on.
Yeah. It's like, very needed.
Thank you guys for tuning into Water Break. Share the show. Hopefully there's enough qualifications in there for you to actually share the show with your wife or your husband.
That's a special share. Hey,
hey, babe.
I heard this show about how people get fat after they get married. I thought you might need to listen to it.
Be careful. Don't get us in trouble. Don't put us in between your marriage. Thank you guys for joining Water Break. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yep. See you soon.
In a world grappling with joblessness, broken homes, and a crisis of purpose, we ask, why does work matter?
There are 1,000 answers to that. The one I like is that work makes us like God.
Well, because God works.
Work matters because you are a provider, and work gives you an avenue for providing for your family.
But that question betrays that a job's not just a 9-to-5 hobby, right? It's an opportunity to bless people. It's an opportunity to bless people at scale.
But the reality is that money is intensely important to Dominion.
I'm Kyle Hessler. I'm a salesman, real estate investor, wrestling promoter, father, husband, and a Christian. And I want to invite you to the first ever Workspace Conference in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, where we aim to glorify God through our work. Come and learn from speakers David Bonson, C.R. Wiley, Steve Jeffrey, David Reese, and Andrew Krapuschitz as we explore the theology of work, how vocations shape cultural dominion, understanding risk, and how to invest not just now, but in future generations. This conference is about action, not just theories. Join us for a prime hub of networking, career growth, and fellowship. We are building a community of impactful connections and collaborative endeavors that seek to extend beyond a single weekend. Join us June 28th and 29th at the Hilton in downtown Fort Worth, Texas. Tickets available at workspace.com. This is more than just a conference. This is a commitment to glorifying God in our work, because we aren't saved by our good works. We are saved by Christ for our good works.